Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror Trans. This is my buddy. Say hello, buddy. My name is Stephanie Marie. I am a transgender woman, and I talk about all things horror. And today I'm looking at an unusual movie for me. This is a direct to streaming movie, which I don't usually look at direct to streaming movies. I also usually don't look at direct to video movies all that often. I have dabbled in the past, but I try to avoid them. I try to look at what I consider theatrically released movies because I consider those. I don't want to use the word legit movies, but direct to streaming movies tend to be not great. However, this one, it's called Prey, is a modern take on the Predator franchise. Is an actually good movie. Um, it was direct to streaming, direct to Hulu, and has already had a sequel greenlit. So that tells you it was pretty well received, at least well received enough to justify investing in a sequel. So, what is this movie? Well, it's interesting for another reason, which is why I wanted to talk about it. It's interesting because this is a very rare movie in Hollywood in general, but especially in the US. Well, Hollywood is the US, but I mean in films, where almost the entire production was done by Native Americans and indigenous individuals from Canadian tribes. Um, and it stars indigenous people. And there are two versions of the movie. There's the English dub, which, well, it's not really a dub, but the English version. But there's also a version that is in, and I apologize, I didn't remember, I didn't write down which Native American language it is, but it's in, I believe, Comanche, but don't quote me on that. But it's entirely presented in that language, and you do have to watch it with subtitles. That's how I watched the movie, just to be clear. It felt more authentic to me. Um, but as a Predator movie, this one is interesting because it's, to my knowledge, the first one that takes place in the past. It goes back to before, well, not, I want to say 1800s. So before Canada, because it takes place in Canada or the territories that would later become Canada. They were still British territories at the time. They weren't an independent country like they are now, although Canada's independence is kind of wonky, but we don't need to get into that. Um, so it takes place, before the Industrial Revolution. So like in the past, in the 1800s. Um, and what it is it's a predator who comes to Earth as they do to hunt, you know, to, to hunt alpha predators, I guess, other predators, and it discovers at first it hunts a I want to say a mountain lion and then a bear, and then it starts hunting the humans, the warriors, and then one of the tribe of the indigenous individuals um, is a young girl who's trying to prove herself as an adult, and she ends up hunting the predator. Now, spoilers, she wins because I mean that's par for the course. You going into a Predator movie, I mean she's basically the Arnold Schwarzenegger character of this movie. You know what to expect from a Predator film. This is once it gets going, it's a Predator film. But it takes a good while to get going because you do get a lot of the native tribes culture. You get a lot of hunting. You get a lot of their societal structure, their gender structure. How she's treated in comparison to the male members of the tribe, things of that nature. So it is definitely an interesting movie in the overall Predator franchise. Now, the one of the reasons I don't like to discuss direct to streaming movies is because I give ratings based on a rent or a buy. And you can't really buy direct to streaming movies because you basically watch them on whichever streaming platform they're on. In this case, it would be Hulu. So to recommend it as a buy is complicated because I don't know if it's been released on home video yet. DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I just don't know. Um, but I am going to recommend it as a buy with the caveat of if you can buy it. Otherwise, it's a watch. It's 100% a watch. The best way to do that is, well, if you already have Hulu, you just watch it. And if you don't, sign up for a month, watch it, and then, check out the catalog while you're there. And then, you can cancel your subscription after a month if you want. But it is definitely worth watching. It is worth getting in your collection. However, you must go about doing that. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. And that's saying a lot because I am, by and large, not really a fan of the Predator franchise as a whole. I hesitate to call the Predator movies horror. I know there are people who, are adamant that they are and very, very belligerently insistent upon that. I think those people are belligerent and I think they're wrong. But because there are people who do um, view it as horror, I'll go ahead and talk about it here, even though I personally do not consider them horror movies. I consider them more like action, adventure, sci-fi movies. I don't even really say they have horror elements. I mean, people die, but I mean, fucking people die in Die Hard. That's not a goddamn horror movie either. So just because a movie has a body count doesn't mean it's a horror movie. So I will never accept that as a um, excuse for labeling something horror. It's just it's got to be more than just kills. Because otherwise The Matrix is a horror movie, and no one's gonna fucking win that argument. Do I recommend Prey? Absolutely, 1,000%. I just don't know if you can buy it. If you can, if it has been released on DVD or Blu-ray, you should definitely add this to your collection. Otherwise, you may have to go to alternative methods to get a physical copy, which I'm not going to divulge how to do that. You'll just have to figure it out yourself. Stay cool.